Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
John, RJ, Bobby, still very disappointed. Just feel like we finished up the game, but at this juncture. But sure disappointed for these players. Overall, I thought they gave a outstanding effort. We had a lot of people get in there and contribute that we frankly hadn't expected to be playing with at this time to this degree. And so in that side, it was a plus. It's just real disappointing for everyone concerned. I know the fans feel the same way to lose a ball game like the way we lost that game after giving ourselves that shot to win it.
Jerry, can you kind of just take us through the punt block? I couldn't tell if you were like second guessing the call last night versus just having Turpin catch it. I think Mike said afterwards we didn't actually have a punt block called. Communication-wise, do you put that more on coaches, on players, just expected to know the rule? Can you just give us all your thoughts on obviously the play everyone's talking about?
Yes, let me say this. They kick the ball. Let's say they get a good punt. He'd been booming them all night long. He'd had good yardage on his punts. We've got to go down and get within close enough that field goal to get about 30, 40 more yards if you assume that he gets a good punt off. Our offense had its pluses, but it also been stymied a couple of times there too. Frankly, when I really reviewed it after the dust had settled, it was not a bad call, and was executed on the front end of the punt block very, very effectively. And I had revisited the look on the way the ball hit, and it really kind of bounced up in a way that was almost unavoidable. The players are coached up. They talk it up. They're constantly reminded that when a ball is blocked on special teams, you run from the ball. You don't ever get near the ball. And, of course, that ball hit just right and bounced back up into our player. I looked at the call. I'm not going to second-guess that call. That call had a lot of logic to it.
So, yeah, you talk about how, they're coached up to do that, and they still don't, execute the play the way it's supposed to, right?
There's organized. The kicking game is organized chaos out there. A lot of moving parts. Everybody's got a lot of different things to keep in mind, and that was a mistake not to run from the ball. But you've got to assume that he saw the ball. You've got to assume he knew where the ball was, all of those kinds of things. So unquestionably, it was a play that you'll keep in your mind forever, probably, that had the player done differently, then we would have got possession right there, and a good chance we win the ball game. But the second guessing would come from letting them kick it free, and taking the ball the length of the field to get within field goal range, or whether or not you should risk all the nuances of trying to block a kick, getting possession, and then making a kick. And the more you look at it, the more you see that it was a well thought out and well scouted. It was a really diagrammed well. I sat down with the special teams coach after the game, and he showed me the before the play diagram. It was very well thought out, and they lined up, and the way they tried to block it, the way they tried to block us up to keep us from blocking the kick, panned out excellent for us. So from that standpoint, it was a play that we executed. The ball, of course, didn't bounce our way.
Jerry, in general, are you satisfied with the attention to detail with the team?
Yes. Extraordinary attention to detail with this team, especially on special teams. And we've had special teams play work for us this year. We've had them backfire on us this year. It's a big point of emphasis John does an outstanding job. Our special teams coach is considered one of the very best there is in the game. And I would tell you firsthand, being around his logic, being around how he prepares these guys, it's unfortunate that the play didn't execute and cause us to win the game.
Jerry Jones, Cowboys owner and general manager, joining us here on 105 through the Fan. Jerry, there was a series of plays there in the final few minutes of the game where you guys had 3 straight pass attempts. All of them fell incomplete. You had to punt it back to Cincinnati. Were you comfortable with the number of rush attempts you guys were getting late in that game?
Yeah, we were running out of time, and you can second-guess that as well. We'll always be second-guessing the last part of that game, but the key influence in that game was how effective their quarterback is and how accurate he is and how well they execute the passing game. And it was we had some great defensive stands during that ball game and really played well. My hat's off to the way our defense played. Hold them to 20 points and get it down to that at that juncture of the game. Now, they made 27, obviously, but for practical purposes, the game was at 20 to be in that spot. And we had real risk as to whether or not if we'd have gotten that ball on that end of the field, we could have made the first down required to get us at a field goal range.
Jerry,
More risk than we actually took trying to block the kick.
Jerry, I know you mentioned yesterday, right after getting out of the locker room, you said that you guys wouldn't know about Demarvion Overshown's injury status until today. Do you have any update on his status?
I do. He'll need surgery on his right knee, and we're doing the MRI this morning, but we know that it will require surgery.
Do you have any indication on whether he'll be ready for next year, or are we looking at 26?
I don't know at this time the time date on his rehab, but it is. I feel. I just can't tell you how bad I feel for him because he's just been through that with the mental and the physical rehab on his other knee, and then to turn around and have to go through that again is going to call on him in a lot of ways, and it's the toughest time for a player, and we all see the loss and know what it's going to mean for us in our remaining 4 games. But bottom line is that it's really sad that he's having to have this surgery for him as an individual and obviously us as a team.
Yeah, Jerry, we felt his personality back-to-back years in Oxnard. Hey, just a guy, it seems like you want to be around. Kendricks, Micah, very emotional afterwards. Can you just talk about him a little bit more as a person and the type of year that he was having?
I've heard Mike by his coaches. I've heard adjectives like Micah as genius. He's a rare athlete, rare person, really. And he really has quite a range of just living life. And so he's not only a gifted, maybe as gifted athlete as I've been around personally, but more importantly, he's also got quite a range mentally. And he does a lot of just really rare things. And it doesn't surprise me at all that he could have an emotional swing to the bottom the way he did after that ball game, after really giving a big accounting. He was a real factor in that ball game to have us in a position to win it.
Jerry Jones with us every Tuesday here on Sean, RJ, and Bobby. Home of the Cowboys is 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, throughout this very tough year, you have always been optimistic as usual. Did last night kind of feel like the reality of the playoff door closing? Are you feeling like, okay, maybe this is develop time, let's see what else we have? Did it feel like the playoff door kind of closed last night?
Well, I know that we needed to win the game to really have what I would call a really win out, get better chance to get in the playoffs. And then we had to have some things happen for us. That was a setback last night. That was a hard one. We'll have to circle the wagons here and get out here and get ready to play Carolina, who gave Kansas City all they wanted last week. So bottom line is that this is the life we've chosen.
Jerry Jones joined us here, 105 through the Fan. Are we getting closer to seeing Trey Lance?
Oh, I don't think so. I thought, for the most part, we did some good things out there, and I still believe 10 gives us our best chance.
So, Jerry, what would you say back to, okay, you kind of know what Cooper is, very solid backup, but is Trey have some of that wild card factor that hasn't been discovered yet? So if you're kind of out of the playoffs, just go and play the more unknown guy versus the emphasis being let's win as many games as possible.
You've got it pegged as you were correct in how you looked at all the things to consider here. But wins are important for us, very important for us. This is a young team. Cooper, we think, gives us our best chance. We'll want to look at everything about last night and make sure the tail of the tape, so to speak, keeps us in the same mode. But it's very important to go down here and beat Carolina for this team next year and the next year. And we've got a lot of young players out here that we want to get that experience. And so you have to consider that when you consider if you will, evaluating at such a critical position, the quarterback we're both talking about.
Jerry, you talked there about evaluations that you have to make, and you've mentioned recently a number of evaluations into the future that you have with staff and players and personnel and things like that. Outside of just the wins and losses over these next 4 games, what are the types of things that you're looking for from those areas that you're evaluating over the course of this last month?
Well, first of all, let me be real clear. It's obvious our quarterback for the future is Dak Prescott. So we don't have to have guesswork about who's going to be our quarterback, number one. And so, number two, we will particularly be looking and have the opportunity to continue to look at these offensive linemen, get those snaps, get those reps. That's a big deal. And that should pay off for us as we go forward, because we've got about 3, possibly 4 young players that will really benefit from it. We've got a couple of young receivers that you'd like to see have the opportunity to get some more attempts and get some more catches. Those are the kinds of things you'd look at. Over on defense, we certainly was good to get our secondary back. First time we've had them all back there all year, and they played really well. That was a real test against that quarterback last night.
Jerry, sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Jerry Jones, sorry about that. Brought to you by Ford. Ford is the best in Texas. Jerry, this started with us a couple weeks ago. Then Dak came out. Then Micah came out. And then Troy Aikman last night gave his endorsement of Mike McCarthy returning. What have you thought of players and now Troy last night endorsing coach's return, possible return?
Not surprising at all. Mike, he wouldn't be in this job had he not had the kind of credibility that those endorsements reflect. He's a heck of a head coach in the NFL and has got the skins on the wall to prove it. And we have never felt that we were backing in with Mike McCarthy as our head coach. And so, yeah, you bet. That's all a part of as we look to the future. I'll tell you right now, the fact that you are talking about Dak's endorsement says so much about do we want to benefit from these last 5 years that Mike has had with Dak Prescott. You've got Dak Prescott going forward, an incremental part of how we're going to be as a team over the next few years to come. That you couldn't, in my mind, have anyone any better influencing the best and bringing out the best in Dak Prescott than Mike McCarthy.
So when you do make these decisions, you do use player influence and support to factor into your decision making?
Let's put it like this. Anytime you're looking at who's coaching them this day and time, if you've got key players, you look at the situation that gives them the best chance, them being the players that you've got under contract, that gives them the best chance to be everything they can be. The coach that complements them the most, the system, the approach. We've seen this year an adjustment to a change in coaching with the switch to Mike Zimmer. And you saw firsthand that takes some time. There's some growing pains with moving into a different coaching mindset. And that's what you get into when you move those coaches around. And you've got these key players this day and time under contract. You better mellow it up.
So, Jerry, you mentioned there are all these great qualities that you feel like Mike has and how great he is for Dak. What are you still evaluating then before giving him an extension?
Well, again, you're going to the inner parts of my mind this morning. I'm not so sure that I'm ready to go there, but there's no secrets in there. I'm just it'll have the benefit of a lot of years involved here doing this, both on and off the field, and doing it in other areas too. So to that end, that's probably a plus. Sometimes, like when I first got involved with the Cowboys, sometimes maybe you're better off not knowing what you're doing and just picking an instinct. That's why I got my old teammate Jimmy Johnson to come in. I was asked one time to be head of the committee to coach owners on how to hire coaches. And I was asked that because we'd had success my first 5 years. And I told the commissioner, I've run out of teammates. That's my criteria. And so now I need to be in the audience listening to how to do the coaching thing. So all kidding aside, I was very fortunate to have Jimmy Johnson and then behind him Barry Switzer. But, of course, I played with those guys and was comfortable with their how great coaches they are and were. So we were very fortunate.
Jerry, last one for you. One of your good friends, someone you have great affection for, Bill Belichick has kind of been the story of the NFL. How surprised are you that we're talking about the possibility of Bill Belichick coaching in college instead of the National Football League next year?
Well, Bill, rightfully so. In my time as in college, that limited time, but more importantly, the years I've spent in the NFL, I don't know that I've seen a coach available, if you will, with his stature. Yeah. He's got a lot of gas left in his tank, a lot. He's on the game. He's savvy. He knows the personnel all over the league. There's no learning curve there. And he just technically is sure a thing, sound a thing that you're going to be coached up as you could have. It doesn't surprise me that everything there is out here that's got a coach concept associated with it that he's not being considered. Bill Belichick could run a major company very effectively, and he's just got that leadership ability as well as, in this case, no one knows more football or how to execute and use that to win a ball game than Bill Belichick.
Yeah, Jerry, I agree with you. I just don't understand. I don't know if you have any theories, because the reports are, oh, well, he's not getting the NFL interest that he expected. Why, if the greatest coach of all time is sitting out there, why would an NFL team not line up to go get him versus him having to explore college?
It's a fair question, because on the surface, you don't have any decision. That may not be the case. They may be lined up to get him, and we don't know that. And sometimes they don't even know that. They'll have discussion of the people that are involved in a decision like this, and you really don't know if it's going to work until it happens. I'm talking about the melding of, or not the getting together of a coach with a team. And so this stuff is not red lights here. Red, stop, green, go. It's not that at all. You have to have it fit. And it doesn't surprise me, and you never know when you read about a opportunity or a situation that a guy like Bill Belichick is looking at. You never know the degree of interest that's there on either side. There's no way to know that. It could be so much as a conversation over a beer someplace.
Jerry, thank you so much for joining us after the game last night. We appreciate it, and have a great rest of your week.
Okay, guys, let's do that. Bye-bye.